Da klokken passert 10, og vi ønsker hjertelig velkommen til dette informasjonswebinaret om Erasmus Mundus felles masterprogram og det nye tiltaket Erasmus Mundus Design Measures. Mitt navn Bård Hekland, og sammen med Unni Kvernesvik Sagberg her på HKD, så har vi ansvaret for å sette opp under Erasmus Mundus-tiltaket. Mange av dere som til stede i dag kjenner sikkert til Mundus fra tidligere. Dette har vært en del av Erasmus-programmet siden 2004. Fra 2021 så vi inne i en ny programperiode, og det var ganske store justeringer i Erasmus Mundus i den utlysningen som kom nå i vår, og hadde søknadsfrist i mai. Den gangen var det ganske kort frist, og ikke så veldig stor søkning til tiltaket. Nå det nye sjanser. En ny utlysning, ny programguide ble lagt ut på onsdag denne uken, og søknadsfristen som ble annonsert da var i slutten av februar 2022. Derfor passer det veldig bra å ha vårt webinar her i dag. Så vi skal få med oss de siste og offisielle informasjonene om Mundus. Mange kjenner nok også til at regjeringen la frem sin nye Erasmus Plus-strategi nå i sommer. Og selv om vi har hatt regjeringsskifte, så det ingen grunn til å tro ut fra de signalene vi har sett at ikke den nye regjeringen også vil følge opp strategien. Der Erasmus Plus sett på som et middel for å få til bedre utdanning også i Norge, og for å håndtere noen av de store utfordringene som samfunnet vårt står overfor. I strategien så det også mange konkrete mål, noen kvantitative, noen kvalitative, og et av de at norske universiteter og høyskoler skal være med på minst 15 Erasmus Mundus-samarbeid i årene som kommer. Skal vi klare det, så jo et første skritt å vite mest mulig om dette tiltaket, og mulighetene for støtte til felles masterprogram. Og for å hjelpe oss med det, så har vi invitert en ekspert her i dag, Fison Kadiskan, som arbeider som Project Officer ved EACA, European Education and Culture Executive Agency i Brussel. Dette jo et såkalt sentralisert tiltak. Det betyr at alle søknader skal gå til Brussel og ikke til Bergen. Først vil vi ha en introduksjon av disse to tiltakene, og underveis så har du da muligheten til å stille skriftlige spørsmål i den Q&A-boksen som skal ligge nederst i vinduet ditt. Og etter presentasjonen så vil vi ta for oss spørsmålene og håper at Fison vil kunne svare på de. Til slutt så blir det en kort presentasjon om prosjektetableringsstøtten som du kan søke fra HKD til Erasmus Plus og andre sentraliserte tiltak. Planen å være ferdig 11:15. But for now, we leave the floor to Fison to give us not a brief, but a comprehensive introduction to Erasmus Mundus and Erasmus Mundus Design Measures. So please, Fison.
Yes, thank you, Bart, and thank you for having me today during this info session, special dedicated to our Norwegian higher education institutions. So, as I think Bart mentioned, my name is Fison Kadiskan, and I'm a project officer at the executive agency in charge of education, culture, and audiovisual. So, today, my presentation will be focusing on the Erasmus Mundus action, and more precisely to the two lots that we have under this new Erasmus Mundus action since 2021. The first one is the Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters, and the second one is the Erasmus Mundus design measure. For a question of easiness, sometimes I should mention maybe during my presentation, EMJM for joint masters and EMDM for design measures. So let's start the presentation. Alors, Okay, here we go. I try to put this here. Okay. So, before going in details to this Erasmus Mundus key action, mainly dedicated for cooperation, for innovation and good practices, I want to just to say a few words about this new program and the strategies behind. First of all, I wanted to say that this new program is more flexible. As just mentioned, we have 2 calls for proposals on parallel. It is also more strategic. Why? Because the priorities will be given to the new thematic areas of the European Commission and Europe, and also to higher education institutions and countries underrepresented in our action until now. And also the objectives of all in all is to increase the impact of the Erasmus Mundus joint masters. It is also much more international because same scholarship will be granted to the 2 categories of students used to be before. You remember there was a partner country and program country. All these changed. I will also explain during my presentation. More generous, same funding, and even, same funding for the 2 categories, but more funding for students and higher education institutions from all program countries, from EU member states and for countries associated to the program. We will also talk about this new terminology under this new call. Also more sustainable. You will be encouraged to select more important non-scholarship holders in order to make sustainable your project beyond the EU funding. And finally, this new program is more inclusive, more attractive for EU students and for non-scholarship holders. So in this key action 2, as I mentioned, you can see before we used to have the Erasmus Joint Master degrees, which was the previous edition of this Erasmus Joint Master. It was located under the key action 1, where the main, let's say, target objective was the mobility of individuals. Here now, since we moved to this key action 2, we are focusing more on cooperation between institutions and also the internationalization of these institutions. We have different cooperation models under this key action 2. We have, let's say, a slot dedicated to the partnership for cooperation, another for innovation, and a third one for excellence. And bringing to this notion of excellence, you can see that Erasmus Mundus Action 2 is located under this portfolio of partnership for excellence. Here, we try to support the projects with a long-term sustainable perspective. This is actually the feature and the main characteristic, let's say, of this partnership for excellence. As said, Erasmus Mundus Action, 2 lots, and I will even mention clearly 2 independent lots, because there is no obligation to implement an EMDM before an EMJM. And the award of an EMDM, a design measure, does not imply automatic funding under EMGM. And the completion of an EMGM project is not an award criterion for an EMGM. So, new terminology under this new program. EMGM becomes EMGM, Erasmus Mundus Joint Master. 2 independent lots, sorry, I think it moved a bit. We have EMJM Joint Masters, and then we have the EM Design Measures, these 2 lots that I will develop now. When we talk about enrolled students, we refer to both scholarship holders and non-scholarship holders. Addition replace the wording intake that we used to have previously for the full master programs, and this independently if you offer a study program of 120 ECTS, 90 or 60. New financial instrument as well for external action, neighborhood development and international cooperation. Heading 1 becomes heading 2 for the funding of Erasmus Plus program, and heading 4 budget becomes heading 6. It means that here we refer to the external action policy, meaning the IPA funding free and the NDICI, the new financial instrument. International cooperation. Of course, EMJM and EMDM are both lots are dedicated to international cooperation, because across these two lots, you will work as an EU member state, but also with the third countries associated to the program, namely Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Republic of North Macedonia, Republic of Serbia, and Republic of Turkey, but also with the third countries not associated to the program. When we are mentioning third countries not associated to the program, all other countries, we mention all the countries around the world. So this is a new terminology, because we used to have in this section called program country, the notion of program country disappeared. So please write down, because in all the documents now for the calls and for the program, and also in the grant agreements and so on and so forth, we will use this new terminology. And when it comes previously partner country notion, the partner country notion disappeared and replaced by third countries not associated to the program. So briefly, as you already most probably know, what is an Erasmus Mundus Joint Master? First of all, it's a high-level integrated and international study program at master level. Secondly, this master program, you offer the most excellent master program open to all disciplines. And we say to all disciplines, we are referring to most of the thematic areas, could be hard sciences, life sciences, humanities. It's of course a study program delivered by an international consortium of higher education institutions from different countries worldwide, but also other educational and non-educational partners, actors. It will of course offer high level of scholarship to your excellent students worldwide. The objectives, of course, to support the quality, the innovation, the excellence, and the internationalization of your higher education institutions through academic cooperation within the European higher education area and beyond. Increase the quality and attractiveness of the European higher education. Support EU external action in higher education. Increase the synergies between your higher education institution and the rest of the higher education institutions, which will be part of your study program and beyond, but also in terms of innovation and research. Improve as well the competencies, the skills, employability of your future master graduate students, and respond to the societal and labor market needs. So this is briefly the main objectives that we try to reach, to attain through the implementation of an Erasmus Mundus Joint Master. How does an EMJM look like and work? This is a very, I think, important slide, and I would like really that you pay attention to this one. First of all, the minimum requirements to be fulfilled by an EMJM are the following ones. The study program should adhere first to the standards for quality assurance of joint programs in the European higher education area, applicable, of course, on the date of your application form. These standards cover all the key aspects of the joint programs in terms of joint design measures, implementations, delivery, and quality assurance. For all the details, please refer to the ECAR website. It will be also mentioned at the end of this presentation on the source of information. You can find all this information there and the links. Of course, it's a fully jointly designed program. It means that it's not one institution designing and implementing. It's all the partners, full partners, with whom you will develop this study program and you will implement this study program. And these partners, which will be part of your study program and this project, has to be, of course, master level degree awarding institutions with the capacity to issue or a joint or a multiple degree. So very important. When we refer to a joint degree, is actually a single diploma delivered at least by 2 higher education institutions from 2 different countries. And when we're talking about multiple diploma, it's at least 2 diploma delivered by minimum 2 different higher education institutions. The selection, recruitment and monitoring of individual students fall under the sole responsibility of the Erasmus Mundus consortium. It means all the higher education institutions part of this study program of this student of this study program. Of course, you are supposed to attract on international level and enroll the most excellent students worldwide. So you have also to think, clearly about your strategy of selection, that this strategy has to be organized transparently, impartially, and equitably. Among the students, a number, of course, may benefit from an EMJM scholarship. Unfortunately, not all of them. We will develop this later on. Physical mobility, compulsory physical mobility for all enrolled youth students for two study periods at least in 2 countries in minimum and 1 minimum program country, different from the residency place. The remaining study period can take place whether in the world, also country of residence, also by distant learning method. The scholars, contribution of your scholars, guest lecturers. There is here no minimum criteria anymore, but we strongly encourage, and this is very important, to attract the scholars and the guest lecturers in your study programs, in the teaching activities, as well as research, and of course to attract as much as possible students around the world. And last but not least, I wanted to add for this slide that your study program has to be ready to run after selection, after the selection of your program. So this is very important, that the curriculum, the study program you are proposing, has to be ready, accredited, evaluated at the time when you apply. The setup. It's a fixed grant agreement of 74 months that we will give for the winners. And this, of course, independently of the length of the master, could be 60, 90 or 120 CTS. You have to commit to enroll a certain number of students per project, at least 4 master editions lasting to 1 to 2 academic years. The start of the first edition should not be later than the academic year following the year of the project selection. And you have to have at least 2 study periods in 2 countries that you have to implement, of which at least 1 in an EU member state or 3rd country associated to the program, previously called program countries, as you know, and both different from the country of residence of the students. This is very important. I insist on that. Both have to be different from the country of residence of the students. We, of course, expect here a geographical balance among the selected students, meaning that not more than 10% of the total scholarships per project awarded to students could be from the same national. This does not apply, of course, to the additional scholarship, the top up, scholarship that we give for the targeted regions. The setup, as you can see, for the call 2022, if, for example, your project is selected under this new call, which is open now, and you're selected next year, it means that you have 2 possibilities. Or you are completely ready to start the first edition of the students, therefore you can start it in September 2022. Or if not, you have still maybe some preparatory activities to plan, to finish, to conclude. Then you have still 1 year to start this first edition of students. Then it means that it will bring you to the academic year, September-October academic year 2023. So, of course, here we give here an ID for a 60 ECTS program, as well as for 120 ECTS program, knowing that most of our programs, study programs under Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters are usually 120 ECTS program. Taking part as an organization, here as well, it's open to any public or private organization established in an EU member state or 3rd country associated to the program, but also to for countries not associated to the program, meaning worldwide. The applications can be submitted by any eligible higher education institutions from EU member states or for countries to the program or for countries not associated. The higher education institutions in an EU member state and for countries associated to the program have to have a valid Erasmus Charter. When it comes to the higher education institutions from third countries not associated to the program, this is not required, but they should commit to the principle in the partnership agreement that you will establish commonly. Higher education institutions from EU member states, third countries associated to the program, and third countries not associated to the program, very important, have to have completed the accreditation evaluation of the master study program they propose. And this has to, the national component has to be done before, you apply for the call EMJM. So very important. The minimum of a consortium when under an Erasmus Mundus Joint Master, meaning that you need, to bring together 3 higher education institutions from 3 different countries, of which at least 2 must be and have to be an EU member state for third country associated to the program. The rest actually are optional. You can, of course, and we highly invite you to have associated partners. Usually they are really helpful for the traineeship period to help you to disseminate your project, for promotion activities, and so on and so forth. Taking part as an individual, so as mentioned several times, this is an open call for students worldwide, but your applicants, the students, must hold a first higher education degree or equivalent in order to apply for Erasmus Joint Master program that you are proposing. They have to be also benefited, they have not been benefited previously, very important, for an EMJM scholarship because they are not eligible. The best ones can benefit from a scholarship depending on the number of scholarships available in the study program you propose. The students apply directly on the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Consortium project website. So you are solely responsible of the promotion, of attracting your students and selecting them. The catalog where you can find all the running EMGMDs, Erasmus Joint Masters that are still open exist because we selected under 2014-2020 previous programs. We selected around 250 Erasmus Mundus Joint Master programs. So there are still many running. I think the ones that have been selected in 2017, as from 2017 until 2020, are still accessible. So please go and have a look also about these existing running Erasmus Joint Master programs, not only for the students, but also for higher education institutions. Now, let's see what we propose as funding and the funding rules. So we simplified, let's say drastically, our approach regarding the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master funding. Is calculated on the following components. We have 3 components. I will start, from the basis. So you have, first of all, the component institutional cost. This cost is only dedicated for the implementation of the program, the study program you will offer as an institution. This is why it's called institutional cost. We will develop how this is calculated. The second one, the most important, is the scholarship, the maximum scholarship we can award, and you can award for the duration of the project, of the agreement. And we have also a top-up, let's say, a top-up additional funding to cover individual needs. This is also completely new under this new program because it's for students who have disabilities. The contribution to individual needs of students with disabilities are eligible if they fulfill the general eligibility condition set in the grant agreement. So this is very important to know. You will also go in the program guide and see also the definition of what it is actually, what we consider individual needs and what we consider disabilities. But this actually individual needs grant is for all enrolled students. So not only for scholarship, but also without scholarship. When we say disabilities, we usually refer, the students who have require special, let's say items or services, assistance by a third person, the adaptation for to the a new work environment, but also additional travel or transportation costs can't be needed, and so on and so forth. So please go in the program guide to check the further details for that. The grant composition, as you can see, much more simple, because all the columns here in yellow was actually how the grant was presented and divided. So meaning for the project selected between 2014 and 2020 under the previous program. And under this new EMJM, so 2021, and this will go until 2027, the end of this multi-financial framework, we simplified. You can see that for the institutional costs, we do not have anymore these very complex subdivisions between the partner country students, program country students, divided under different subfolio for the participation cost, but also for the management lump sum. This has been simplified. For institutional part, we give 750 euro per month per students, and this is the max per students that we can engage per month. We have indeed the special needs. This was not existing, as I mentioned just before, and this special needs is between 3,000 up to 6,000, 60,000. This is what we can offer. And very important, the scholarship. As you can see, this has been also changed. It was much more complex. It's one single scholarship amount provided for the scholarship holders. Institutional cost. So this is important because it's just a unit cost for all students enrolled, including non-scholarship holders, with a cap of 100 students. So what it means? It means that per each enrolled students, who will do his mobility, his study program per month, we pay 750 euro per month per student. This is how it is calculated. We can, of course, unfortunately, offer not more for the moment. The maximum amount per project dedicated to the institutional cost is 1,800,000 euro. So this means that for this amount provided for the institutional cost, you can enroll in total 100 students, and you are covered for the institutional cost. Very important, same unit cost for scholarship holders and for non-scholarship holders with the cap of 100, enrolled students. Usually it's 60 scholarship holders when we talk about 100 caps, 40 non-scholarship holders. This is how it is based and calculated. Same unit cost for students from EU member states, third countries associated to the program, before called program country students. Now, third countries not associated to the program is, now this is how it's called, and before it was called partner countries. So very important. We also simplify, and also we make more, let's say, fair between the students from EU member state, third countries associated to the program, and the ones not associated to the program. Here on this graph, again, the blue one, the simplified grant under this new Erasmus Mundus Joint Master, previously under the program EMJM. So this is what we can offer. Voila. As you can see here, it is more calculated on the basis of students you will enroll. So it means here, for example, if you enroll 40 scholarships, the maximum is 60 scholarships that we cover, okay? And for example, you envisage to only offer 40 scholarships and no scholarship holders, you decide to not select non-scholarship holders, then this is what the budget represents. It means that more scholarships, this is the max scholarship you engage, but also more non-scholarship holders you engage in your program, more, of course, the grant is important and you can apply for. So very important. But of course, when you reach the threshold of this 100 cap in total, meaning 60 scholarship plus 40 non-scholarship holders, let's see that you decide to select 50, not more, I mean, not anymore 40, but 50, we gave the same amount for the institutional cost as for the scholarships. Student scholarship, how is it calculated and what it covers? It's one full scholarship covering the subsistence for students, the installation and travel. It's a fee waiver policy which applies for your students, very important. It's a single unit cost per scholarship holder, €1,400 multiplied by the number of months of the students when he will start this study under the program. So minimum 1 academic year, 60 ECTS usually, maximum 24 months, 120 ECTS program. What we provide per student for the scholarship amount, it's €33,600. On project level, this is what you can apply if you decide to go for 60 scholarship holders in your program. The maximum amount, it's €2,016,000 that you can apply for the grant. Again, very important because this was not the case before. This is the same unit cost for students for EU member state third countries associated to the program, as well as for students from third countries not associated to the program. Again, an overview of the evolution before and now. So you can see these different envelopes for installation, travel, subsistence. It was very complex and very complicated to implement for our beneficiaries, for our higher education institution. So now it should be much more simple since it's a bit more simplified. Individual needs, just a few words. On student level, when the student will apply through the project website, normally you have to put this possibility, you have to offer this possibility to the students that he can have maybe some special, he needs to apply for special needs. Therefore, he should come in his application with his needs, and this will be calculated from between 3,000 to 60. If below you cannot cover it, at least, I mean, the program, the funding, the grant we will give to you will not cover this. So it's very important that you on project level, when you apply as well this maximum amount for the special needs, which is €120,000. So one unit, it's 60. You can, of course, decide to not apply, but usually what we advise and recommend to our institutions, it's when they write their application, they apply, they integrate the maximum amount for the individual needs, because you never know who will be your future students and the needs of your students. And this, of course, special individual needs apply for all enrolled students, meaning scholarship holders and non-scholarship holders. Additional funding, this is a top-up, let's say, funding from the grants that I have now developed. This is actually a response to the EU external priorities and needs. We have two financial instruments, the IPA for pre-adhesion instrument and the Development International Cooperation Instrument for students from third countries not associated to the program. The contribution for additional scholarship, including the corresponding institutional costs for the entire duration of the EMJM program applies, meaning here you can apply in your program you can offer free additional scholarship for students from IPA region, the Western Balkans, and 27 extra additional scholarship from this new instrument. This will be also clear, it is clearly developed, it's in the program. The maximum amount provided for these additional funds, it's 1,548,000 per grant. So what is new? A simplification of funding mechanism. Only 3 types of unit costs has developed now: institutional, student scholarship, and individual needs. Previous costs for travel installation now fully integrated in the scholarship unit cost. We used to have this different, you have seen the graph envelopes. Previous participation cost now fully integrated in the institutional unit cost. And this is only applicable for scholarship holders. Simplified management mechanism, and this is much more flexible for our universities, higher education institutions. So the scholarship are also paid for study periods in the country of residence of students. Before, this was not possible. You have just to respect this, minimum mobility scheme. Otherwise, the student now, if, for example, he is studying in his university, which is part of the consortium, and decide, to study in other higher education institution, part of the consortium from the same country, he can do it. He will receive also his scholarship. This was not the case before. Increased budget for education institution and for students, especially for program country students previously. Now we call them EU member states and the third countries associated to the program. Incentive to enroll more students via, the enrollment of this 100 cap, meaning the 60 scholarship holders plus the 40 non-scholarship holders. The same scholarship for students from EU member states, third countries, and for third countries not associated to the program. This is very important and more inclusive, since we will also support here the individual needs for the students who have these disabilities. More flexible for our consortia. So the formal concept of preparatory year, we used to have an intake completely disappeared, abandoned. So we rather now talk about preparatory activities and addition, as I developed before. There is more continuity and sustainability after the EU funding, since now we give you this institutional cost, much more important institutional cost, to cover this 100 cap enrolled students, meaning the 60 scholarship plus the 40 non-scholarships, because as you know, the non-scholarship holders are also a key actor for the sustainability of your project. Simplified rule for geographical balance. Now, the rule is much more clear when it comes to the nationality. A continuity, no major changes for the EMGMD and EMGM, except the grants and what I developed. The emphasis is put on all enrolled students and not anymore this disparity category, you know, of students, with the aim to recruit more non-scholarship holders and to make your project more sustainable. Increased as well the international cooperation, more opportunities for universities for foreign countries not associated to the program. Also simplification rules for the scholars, because before you have to, you know, select minimum 4 scholars per intake. So all these rules disappeared, but of course this does not mean that you don't have to, you know, involve them in your projects. Our recommendation is really to have them on board in order not only to attract the students, but also to create more connection and to internationalize more your institutions. So here briefly, the results, but not in terms of selection results, because unfortunately the results are not yet out. It's now just a question of hours, according my colleagues. But I have here some information regarding the applications we received under the first call EMJM 2021. So we received in total for the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master 70 proposals. These 70 proposals have come from 56 different higher education institutions which are applicants. As you can see, well, there is no surprise. We have France, Spain, but I have to admit that Portugal is the first time that we have Portugal in the top 3 of countries, EU member state countries, you know, which applied under a certain number of applications. So, and I can see as well that Norway is present. So very good. But I hope that we will see this number increasing, I hope, under the call 2022, and to get you more, you know, on this section of this graph. The 70 EMJM proposals also generate the participation of 23 countries. As a full partner, so we have in these 70 EMJM proposals, 238 full partners committed. And these 238 full partners come from 47 different countries. And here as well, I put it in red, Norway have actually engaged, committed, you know, 3 higher education institutions from his country. So well done. Again, I hope that we will see this figure increasing and going on this direction. When it comes to the associated to the program, so very important number. This is why I also insist on that. Even if they cannot benefit from a grant, but we highly encourage to have as much as possible associated partners in your project, in the study program you will propose, for the promotion, for maybe the sustainability, for the employability, for the future internship of your students. So they are a very, important and key actors in your projects. So you see that we have, under the 70 EMJMs, 840 associated partners committed, and 320 institutions are from 4 countries not associated to the program, meaning the rest of the world. The evaluation procedure, just a few words. When we receive your applications and the publication and so on and so forth is done, the deadline is over. So the selection phase, the evaluation and selection phase will start from our side. So we work with independent expert, external expert. We go for peer review, and 3 experts will assess each proposal, meaning 3 experts will assess each study program proposed by the higher education institutions in one-step evaluation procedure. So I will come in a minute for the award criteria for relevance. 2 very important thresholds in order to be, under this selection maybe applicants, you have to reach 22 out of 30 for relevance, and the total of your of the award criteria, the total of the proposal has to have 70, minimum 70. Usually the competition is very tough. Usually, when we select the projects, usually they are beyond 82, 83 points. It's just to give you an idea how competitive and the level is high. In case of Execo, priority is given to projects with high score for relevance. This is why relevance is very important, and also impact. Award criteria, I will not go in details here because they are very well developed, I think, in the program guide. So please just take them into consideration when you are writing your application. Please cross-check that each, the elements you provide respond to the award criteria. Because in each also award criteria, you have sub-criterions. Like, for example, for the relevance of the project, you have here we expect that you develop your background, the general objectives of the study program you propose. How also it responds to the general objectives of the Erasmus Mundus action, the need analysis, specific objectives, why, for example, you propose this study program, what is the added value compared maybe to the running other, Erasmus Mundus joint master programs. What are the specificities of the study program you propose? Put all this, in advance, and think about that. But also very important, the complementarity with other actions, in order also to underline maybe the innovative part, of the project you propose. So please go, and check all these different sub-criteria. Same for the quality of the project design implementation. Here we expect that you develop the concept and the methodology of your consortium, of your partners, who is behind this project, how you are to ensure that the quality of the project you propose is maintained and will be maintained during the project implementation. Very important. How you are going to monitor all together, what is actually the mechanisms thought by all your higher education institutions, but also the evaluation strategy, how you can evaluate that the project is still running well and there are no discrepancies regarding what you have actually initially planned and promised in your application, and be sure that the quality is maintained all along. But also the project team, staff and experts, you have to see who will be in charge of the implementation at each university, receiving the students, how you are going to deal if there is any problems, who will be responsible of the project website, and so on and so forth. All these things have to be thought all together. The feature of jointness is very important under the EMJM. This is something I want to stress on it, because for me it's really a winner application. The jointness should be present from the beginning of the conception, when you sit together with all your institutions, to establish, to think about the study program until, its implementation. So please think about this feature and of jointness all the time, bear it in mind. So the cost effectiveness, financial management, you have to check indeed that you manage properly the funding that have been provided under the grant agreement. And also you have to come with the risk management. What is the plan in case, for example, COVID case is a good case. The borders, for example, were closed during a certain time. And again, now we are closing again some borders. So how you are going to tackle this issue, who you are going to contact, who will be the contact person. This is an example of risk management that we want from your side that you developed under this section. Quality of the partnership and cooperation arrangements. So here, there is nothing hidden neither. This is the consortium setup. We expect, I mean, what is the rationale of the consortium composition? Why have you invited these higher education institution partners to be part of your study program? What is his added value? What is the innovative feature as well? And so on and so forth on the level of experience, but also define also the role, the task of the partners, the cooperation with the non-educational actors, like, for example, the associated partners, and so on and so forth. The consortium management and decision-making, very important. You will develop here all the arrangements, you know, that you have fixed among your consortium for the cooperation, who will be part of also the governing bodies, for example, the committee selection, and so on and so forth. Impact. Here we want that you explain us a bit how your project will impact on the system level, but also on institutional level and individual level. So you have three different levels, layers, and degrees. Not only on institutional levels, but also on terms of students you are going to enroll, and also the measures that you ensure that there is a country balance for the students that you will select. Of course, communication, dissemination, visibility, very important. What are the strategies, the mechanisms, and how this will impact, you know, your project? You have to think about that and develop this under impact. And sustainability and continuation, how your project, I mean, could be sustainable and even if you do not receive in a certain point any more funding from EU, how do you envisage maintaining this collaboration, this study program? So voila, and also think about maybe mobilizing other funding sources. Main changes compared to call 2021, duration of the grant agreement now 74 months. Instead, we were talking about 6 academic years. I mean, this is maybe much more easier for the institution and also for the calculation of your institutional cost and the scholarship, grant. More top-up scholarship under heading 6 compared to the call 2021. We will have 3 under IPA and 27 under NDCI. From 9 targeted regions. Has already mentioned this new terminology. I feel a bit sorry because it's true that even you see for our presentations, it's quite long, but this is how it is, and we have to live for the moment with this new terminology. Please forget this program country, partner countries terms, and now focus more on EU member state third countries associated to the E+ program and third countries not associated to the E+ program. And of course, there is just slight changes in the presentation of the award criteria, but there is nothing really drastic. How to apply? You know that we have this funding tender portal now available. So please, I mean, go visit, be acquainted, familiar with this platform. And don't forget that the applications have to be submitted by using this e-form, nothing else, with the attachments. Application package, very important. You have 3 parts, 3 structures, very important. Part A, administrative forms. This is the place where you develop all the data concerning each of your higher education institutions taking part in the study program you will propose. This is very brief, but you will see that there are much more details. Part B, this is really the core part of your application package. This is the narrative part of your project, where you will explain and develop point by point your project against the award criteria. Okay, very important, please. Go in details for this part, for this section. You have also work packages to fill in, the milestones and the deliverables. Part C, related more to the administrative form. This is more for the specificities of your program, the joint master you propose, like the number of VCTS, the accreditation, the type of degrees you will award, and so on and so forth. So complete, please, part A and C directly on the portal, and the part B in advance, because it could be uploaded together with the mandatory annexes. Call for proposals. So publication of the call. So the call is open 24 November. The deadline 16 February, 5 p.m. Brussels time for the closure. The budget, it's around 145 million euro for the more or less the 27 projects that we are going to select under this call. This, of course, integrate as well the additional funding, the top-up funding. And then the number of scholarship per projects, maximum per projects, maximum 60 scholarship plus 30 additional scholarship for students from 9 targeted regions. This is what it will cover for the scholarship per project. What else? Okay, now before starting the second part for the design measures, which is a bit shorter, I promise, what could be your contribution and your role under this EMJM? So, or you can be a coordinator, which is the main actor, let's say. This will be the higher education institution, which will coordinate all the projects as from the beginning, the design until the implementation and the end of the eligibility period of this project. And the coordinator is the legally binded, higher education institutions, and has, the legal representative who will be also the person completely fully responsible, very important. Or so you can have the role as a coordinator or as a full partner, meaning that you are the full partner, you are the partner of this study program, meaning that you will part of the implementation of this study program. You will select the students, you will receive the students, you will send the students, and so on and so forth. Don't forget that the coordinator is also, a full partner. For me, it's true that it's a bit delicate to separate the two roles, but I wanted to say that this is really the legally binded, let's say, actor, and he's really the top, let's say, actor, coordinating all the elements and putting all the elements and all institutions together in the project. So the full partners, all associated partners, if you think that you are not yet ready, but you can be also institutions sending scholars for under a new EMJM or an existing EMJM. But anyway, if you feel that you are still not yet ready for any of these roles, you can take part in Emdm. So the EMDM design measure is actually a program which helps you to launch the basis of a joint program. Very important. So as you know, EMDM is the second lot under the Erasmus Mundus action. What is the rationale behind? Why we propose you this new lot? First of all, is to encourage the development of new, innovative, transnational study programs at master level. And to have other, study programs than the one already existing and running. Then to diversify, of course, the offer, as I said, of these existing joint master programs, but also to involve, and very important, Erasmus Mundus action underrepresented EU member states and third countries associated to the program, and or the institution from these countries or the thematic areas. Meaning what? Meaning that we have still many countries, as EU member state or for countries associated to the program, which unfortunately are still not very active, and we would like really encourage them to be part of this beautiful program. So this is the idea, is really to get them on board and to be maybe prepared one day to submit an EMJM. The idea here, it's really the development of an Erasmus Mundus design measure to implement a joint program, and later on maybe an EMJM. So I hope the rationale is clear for you. Again, international cooperation. As mentioned, we work worldwide, and you will also, under a design measure, try to attract all these higher education institutions in your projects. What is an EMJM? It's a short duration grant project to support the institution in the setup of a new joint master program in Europe and beyond. It's one beneficiary which will monopolize a group of other higher education institutions, meaning that we have the one beneficiary, one higher education institution will apply and will receive actually the grant. We will see this in a minute. Please watch out again, it's completely an independent funding scheme from an EMJM. It's not needed to have implemented an EMJM before to implement an EMJM. You can start from an EMJM, so there is no criteria here. Expected outcomes of an EMJM, as you will see, it's more or less similar that what we expect from the Erasmus Mundus joint master. Just the big difference that this is the design measure, it's for the higher education institutions which are not yet prepared. What we expect here, that you jointly designed your master, the study program you propose, that you offer a fully integrated curriculum delivered by a consortium, again, involving at least 3 higher education institutions from 3 different countries, of which at least 2 must be EU member states or 4 countries associated to the program. Very important. Aim to attract excellence, outstanding students worldwide. You will develop also here what are the mechanisms to attract them. Include the physical mobility, because of course the beautiness again of our program, our action is to engage students to have a mobility, to discover another culture, another system of higher education, and so on and so forth. So physical mobility is very important. And to lead, of course, to either a joint degree or multiple degree. As already said, joint degree, 1 diploma, offered by minimum 2 higher education institutions from 2 different countries, and at least 1 has to be a country from an EU member state or 4 countries associated to the program. Multiple degrees, it's 2 documents, 2 diploma awarded by multiple higher education institutions. The expected outcomes of an EMJM. Here as well, the feature of jointness, as you can see, is present. Jointness is everywhere. So we expect that when you design your program, you have to show also under this application of an EMDM that you propose this jointly, even if it's a mono-beneficiary project. So this is the study program, the design measure has been jointly thought, jointly designed. The procedures have been jointly, again, will be jointly implemented. Same thing for the financial management and all the administrative issues. The services that you will offer to your students will be commonly jointly offered. The joint promotion and dissemination as well. Don't forget, very important to think and to develop already a partnership. The partnership is really the contract among your higher education institutions that we will build, this study program. Okay, so draft already this joint partnership. Who will be part of this, EMDM? Who is going to do what? How maybe this joint program will be implemented? The role, the responsibility, the task of each of these higher education institutions that will be part of this design measure. Also, think and present a student agreement. What are, for example, the agreements, the articles you would like to write down on this document? Very important. Also, a joint degree policy and how you are going to implement this, to think and to implement this, and to launch the accreditation process. Of course, explore the opportunity, if possible, if national legislation allows, to see how you can, explore and implement the European approach for quality assurance for a joint program. The EMJM setup has set 1 beneficiary, mobilizing a group of other higher education institutions, fixed duration of 15 months. So it's a very short, project that we expect quite a lot. But could be really, interesting and very fruitful, I think, if you reach, because it's really a program, a project that will give you the opportunity to be part one day, maybe of an Erasmus Joint Master. The EU grant that we give, it's a fixed lump sum of 55,000 euro. This, grant will be given to the one beneficiary. Taking part as an organization, so applications can be submitted by any higher education institutions in an EU member state for country associated to the program, or for country not associated to the program, meaning worldwide. For higher education institutions in an EU member state and for countries associated to the program, as for an EMJM, you need to have a valid Erasmus Charter for higher education. For higher education institutions in third countries not associated to the program, here the HA is not required, but should adhere to its principle. And this has to be also presented and stated in the joint partnership agreement that you will present. Application here, just a few words about the call 2021 for the EMDM applications. So we received, as you can see, a big number of proposals, so quite successful. We received a total 148 proposals from 40 different countries. 41 applications from 4 countries not associated to the program represent more or less 28% of this applications. Most represented 4 countries not associated to the program are Russia, Ukraine, Georgia, Jordan, Morocco, as stated on this slide. And this is also very good news. We have 62 brand new higher education applicant, meaning that this new sub-action is very interesting, and I think our education institutions are eager to apply, and I hope to be selected. Evaluation procedure, few words, also a peer review by independent external experts. 2 experts assess each study program, each project, each proposal that you submit in a one-step evaluation procedure. Here, one threshold, it's not 70, but you have to score at least 60 points overall. In case of ex-aequo, priority will be given to the project with higher score for, again, the relevance of the project and then impact. The award criteria, as also mentioned, please go to see the details, related to this award criteria that you will need to develop, in the application package. Don't forget, it's in the part B. And this is what we expect. There is no hidden agenda. The award criteria are here, and we hope they are clear and reachable for everyone. So voila. And then the main changes compared to call 2021, new terminology. I insist on this because you will not see anymore this. And we also develop, integrated a better and more and give more clarity to the definition of some award criteria. How to apply? Again, as for EMJM, you have to pass via the funding tender portal. Application package also, it is structured more or less in the same way than an EMJM. So, I mean, except that the elements that you have to provide are different. The part A, again, administrative form, where you have to develop, indicate all the data related to the higher education institutions taking part to the project, to the design measure. Part B, it's the narrative part of your project, the work package and the deliverables to develop. And part C are the specificities related to your design measure. So, here I put it this because it's very important. Please pay particular attention to the instruction that we give on the portal under the topic, condition and documents, in particular the section C, because I mean, voila, this is very important to take note. I mean, before starting and filling all the documents. What else? The EMDM call for proposal 2022 is also open. As you know, both lots are under the same action, so they're open on the same time. It's published 24 November, the deadline fixed for the 16th February 2022, 5 p.m. Brussels time. The budget that we will be allocated, because since you know that per project we grant 55,000, so we can engage, commit around and select around 55 projects. What else? This is just a selection roadmap, briefly. The publication of the call for proposals 2022, it's now. The deadline for submission, February. We expect to start the assessment with the experts March, April 2022. Award decision notification normally to the applicants, we hope June, July 2022, and the preparation as well as the signature of the grant agreements between the agency and your institutions fixed for July, August 2022. Last but not least, some just information about the program. Please go in the program guide, read carefully, as well as the call for proposals. All these important documents, both documents are under the funding, the funder tender portal. How to get a grant, also you can find useful and general information for applicants on EAKEA website. Other information sources, I insist on this because this could be also an inspiration for you and also give you maybe some tips to write your application. We have very useful statistical fact sheets that we have developed related on the achievements of the previous, MFF, meaning the projects that we have selected between 2014, 2020. As mentioned before, we have 250 study programs selected. You can see there the results. You can see the results in terms of figures, in terms of impact. You can see who are the countries not well represented, underrepresented. This will help maybe for the setup of your consortium and so on and so forth. So please go on this document and read them carefully, as well as we have the several reports and cluster meetings reporting. The catalog, I insist also on this. Please go and have a look. You can find all the running Erasmus Mundus joint master degrees, selected, and you can see the consortium setup, their objectives, and so on and so forth. We have also testimonials on a publication called The Story So Far. And finally, best practice guide, how to make sustainable an Erasmus Mundus master course. So that's it from my side. Just also an important, I think, information for you. Please never hesitate to contact us. You have this amazing functional mailbox here. Please send us, your concerns, your questions. If you think that there is a lack of clarity, you do not understand, whatever, please do not hesitate to be in touch with us via this functional mailbox. We are here for there. We are many colleagues working behind. And yeah, and I think that's it from my side. I'm sorry, it was maybe too long, but it's not possible to make it shorter. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, for this very comprehensive presentation, the Emgm and the design measures.
And the challenge, Bart, it's more, I would say, the terminology with these countries.
Definitely, it's not the easiest from a marketing point of view.
My God.
We had a few questions. We don't have time for all of them, but just one practical question. There's a question here of whether people will be able to get your presentation as a PDF. Can we share it?
Yes, as a PDF, of course.
Yes.
You can even put it on your website like this. All your institution can be acquainted and get familiar.
Excellent. Then we will post it at the website of this webinar together with a recording of the webinar, so you are able to consult that later on.
Okay.
Then there was one question about tuition fees, and this may be slightly confusing. Can you confirm that the students do not have to pay any tuition fees?
Exactly. It's tuition fee waiver policy. Since this institutional cost, has been increased drastically compared to the EMJM programs. Yes, there is no more tuition fees to be paid by the scholarships, by the students.
No, but you still have a category of students that are not receiving scholarships, and they
Yes.
Me.
So scholarship is one thing, and non-scholarship is another thing, meaning that the institution, as you can see in the graph, the institutional cost that we give per project, per grant, covers 100 students, enrolled students. Meaning what? Meaning 100 enrolled students, meaning 60 scholarship holders, and the other side, 40 non-scholarship holders. This is what it covers. Yes.
Thank you. Then one more question about the budget. Do we have to specify the costs, or is it just a lump sum based on the number of students? This probably relates to the format of the budget in the application. How much kind of specification is needed?
Specification, I don't have this, let me see, because this is indeed a technical details, because since we moved to this e-grant approach, let me check for the application, stage, how this is presented, because the budget table, watch out as well, because there are some new developments under this new call regarding, the application package when it comes mainly, I think, to the work packages, and it could be as well for the budget table. So I wanted just to draw your attention on this, but I cannot give you more details because it's still under development. So yes, it used to be in the budget table, we used to have, first of all, to indicate the duration of the master program the institution apply, if it's a 12, 18 or 24 months. Then you have the heading, it works by heading. You have heading 2 and then heading 2 program countries. Now it's not anymore program countries, but EU member states and third countries not associated to the program in one side, and heading 2 for the rest. The countries not associated to the program. There, they will not. They have to come with information by number of non-scholarship holders and the number of scholarship holders. Okay, per person and per month. So they will need to develop all this. Yes, details. It's quite a detailed budget table.
So probably the best advice is to open up the form and actually look at it at an early stage.
Exactly, exactly. And I think it should be quite easy, because now our really approach, our objective is make this more accessible. And in case, as I mentioned, in case there are some questions, you, Bart, or even the higher education institutions can write to the functional mailbox, that I mentioned on my presentation, and we can answer it if there is any problem or issue to fill in this document. Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And maybe a last question, and we couldn't probably not answer it fully, but from your experience, academics are busy people. So how to convince them to apply for a Mundus? What's in it for them from experience? What do people see as the benefit from organizing the Mundus?
To organizing, indeed, I didn't put maybe the opportunities, for our higher education institutions on this slide, because as you've seen, it's already too long. But there are plenty. First of all, I don't know if you're referring for an EMJM or an Emdm, but let's say that it's for both. First of all, to be part, of Erasmus Mundus. This is already a branding of excellence. Secondly, it's worldwide and very well recognized, action. It creates bridges between higher education institutions, not only in terms of receiving students, but also in terms of research, in terms, of developing, new networking, in terms of, developing also, the more relation with associated partners. When I say associated partners, is more related to the labor market, employability. We try really to respond to our labor market and societal, needs, let's say. And the beautiness here, it's excellency when we talk about Erasmus Mundus Joint Master, because our universities are part, really, maybe not all of them, but many of them are part of this ranking, best world ranking list, you know, like Shanghai list. So meaning that it's really guaranteed that these projects are really not only excellent, but they bring institutions and people together. You see, this is for us, I think, the most important message. And the internationalizations to be known and to develop connections maybe with institutions that you never thought before, you know. Yeah, and I think our Norwegian higher education institutions need to not be discouraged because it's feasible. I saw already for the EMJM, you know, one participation. So I hope to see them more on board. It's true that maybe it's not simple, but maybe, as I said, if it's not reachable for the moment for most of them, you have still the possibility via an Emdm. The design measure is also, let's say, created for that, really to conceive, to think, to conceive, and to try to put people together in order to implement a joint program. So yes, this is but you know, Bart, you can still send me all the questions, okay, that if we're not able to answer now, and I would be pleased to give, you know, answers by email, and maybe you can share this with your higher education institutions.
We will try to do that. We'll try to do that, and also we will try to help in any way Norwegian applicants, coordinators, so partners in the process. So really, this is we try to support the preparation of applications, and if we don't know the answers, we will try to find out.
Yes,
from you.
please. Well, you are highly welcome. And then I wanted just to add one thing, just to show you, because you are aware that we had this World Seminar organized this week at the European Commission level. And I have to admit that the participation was very high. And then we promote the action worldwide. We promote via Africa continent, Asia during the morning session, and the afternoon in Latin America region, because, you know, as the time zone is different. So we did it the same thing, but for different geographical area. And really there is a demand and people are really interested. So here the idea is really to see how you can engage. The first step is to see how you can be in contact with these higher education institutions worldwide, and to see how you can develop and conceive. But, you know, the scholars, the guest lecturers also are the key elements implementing, you know, an EMJM as well as an EMDM. So maybe also it's good to our higher education institutions to think also about this key actor.
Thanks, Fisoon.
Welcome.
And we're going to add a few words about something that will be a help for Norwegian potential applicants. That is the project development funding. You can actually get some national money to apply for these sections. And my colleague Vegard will say a few words about that possibility. So Vegard, vær så god.
Tusen takk. Thank you, Fisoon. Now we're going to turn to Norwegian. Let me just share my screen with you. There we go. Men nå skal jeg snakke norsk. Tusen takk for at dere ville komme hit og høre på det her. Takk til dere som fortsatt er igjen, selv om vi har gått litt over tiden. Jeg skal snakke litt om Erasmus Plus prosjektetableringsstøtte, som da er en støtte som HKDIR setter av hvert år til å støtte utarbeidelsen av søknader til Erasmus Plus sentraliserte tiltak. Formålet med tiltaket er jo å få flere søknader til sentraliserte tiltak, og ikke minst få bedre søknader. Så dette er virkelig en mulighet å få tid til å møte partnere og tid til å skrive søknad. Man kan få forskjellige beløp, avhengig av om man er partner eller koordinator av det sentraliserte prosjektet, og avhengig av størrelsen på tiltaket. Så hvis man søker på Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters, så kan man få 100 000 som koordinator, 50 000 som partner, mens for Design Measures så det da 50 000 og 25 000. De her pengene kan gå til å dekke reise- og møtekostnader, lønn for ansatte i organisasjonen som tildeles prosjektetableringsstøtte, eller til å dekke kostnader i forbindelse med ekstern assistanse og rådgivning. Søknaden må inneholde en del ting for at vi skal kunne godkjenne den. For det første må dere ha identifisert alle partnere i prosjektet. Det vil si at dere må tilfredsstille minimumskravene som stilt i det sentraliserte tiltaket. Når det kommer til antall partnere, fra hvilke land og hvilke type land og hvilke type organisasjoner. Så for eksempel vi så Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters krevde 3 høyere utdanningsinstitusjoner fra 3 forskjellige land. Ja, da må de være identifisert også i prosjektetableringsstøttesøknaden. Dere kan selvsagt legge til ekstra, både i søknaden, men også etterpå, men man må i hvert fall ha minimumskravene oppfylt. Og så må man også ha en klar plan for det sentraliserte tiltaket, som inkluderer en beskrivelse av prosjektet, partnerskapet og relevansen av prosjektet, og da tenker vi relevansen opp imot de horisontale prioriteringene i Erasmus+, men også andre typer strategier som er viktige i det området man jobber med. Man må også ha en arbeidsplan for søknadsarbeidet, og utarbeide et budsjett. Hva det vi ser på når vi evaluerer disse? Jo, vi ser på om alle partnere er identifisert, som vi snakker om. Vi ser på om partnerskapet og søker har kapasitet til å nå opp i konkurransen og gjennomføre prosjektet, for det jo veldig konkurranseutsatt, de her tiltakene. Og det også sannsynlig at søker har tid til å utvikle et godt Erasmus+-prosjekt før tidsfristen. Og da, når det sagt, så betyr det også at det viktig å søke tidlig. Hvis dere søker en uke før, så det lite sannsynlig at dere får prosjektetableringsstøtte. Dere vil også ikke kunne få dekke utgiftene dere allerede har hatt, fordi vi dekker bare utgifter fra søknadstidspunktet. Ved en suksessfull søknad så utbetaler vi da 60% av tildelt sum først, og så de resterende 40% de blir utbetalt etter sluttrapporten innlevert, som også betyr at dere må sende inn en søknad til det sentraliserte tiltaket. Sender dere ikke inn den søknaden, så får dere heller ikke de 40%. Noen tips og ressurser til slutt. Som sagt, husk å søke tidlig. Påløpte kostnader fra søknadstidspunktet kan inkluderes i budsjettet, selvsagt gitt at dere får tilslag på søknaden. Husk å lese programguiden nøye for å sørge for at dere tilfredsstiller minimumskravene til tiltaket dere søker på. Ta en titt på vår nettside for mer informasjon om PES, og ta gjerne kontakt hvis dere har spørsmål om PES eller om tiltaket. Søknadsskjema, det finner dere i Espresso. Det heter Erasmus Plus Project Development, og søknaden må skrives på engelsk. Og da har jeg egentlig bare lyst til å takke for oppmerksomheten, og hvis dere har spørsmål, så må dere sende det til erasmus@hkdir.no. Det var egentlig det jeg skulle dele. Nå skal jeg stoppe å dele. Sånn. Jeg vet ikke om det var noen spørsmål om vi har tid til det, eller om vi skal...
Jeg fikk et spørsmål her som jeg har besvart underveis. Det dekkes reisekostnader også for andre enn den organisasjonen som søker.
Det stemmer, det gjør det. Det bare dekking av lønn som bare gjøres for den som har sendt inn PES-søknaden. Men ellers så kan man dekke også for de andre partnerne.
Ja, takk skal du ha, Vegard. Takk til alle dere som har vært til stede her i dag. Vi håper jo å se søknader fra norske institusjoner. Særlig fint om vi kan utnytte denne Design Measures-muligheten, som et veldig flott tilbud for å få finansiering til å gjøre dette grunnarbeidet som må til før man kan søke på en full mastergrad. Så lykke til med arbeidet, og ta gjerne kontakt med oss på HKDIR hvis det kan være til hjelp underveis i prosessen. Takk for i dag, og vi ses.